Well, hello. Welcome to an episode of Gorilla Gunman, an unplanned episode of Gorilla Gunman, and we're going to talk about 180 traps because we
180
had
traps in you.
180 traps in me. I was at a match. I shot a stage that everyone else shot, and I just happened to be wearing a helmet camera. And boy, that was a doozy. Well,
Yeah, to be clear, no one was hurt,
nope,
but
no one was hurt. I was the second. I was in the second to last group of people who shot that stage.
yeah,
A lot of people shot it before me, but boy howdy, that ended up being
a doozy.
a doozy. A doozy is one way of putting it. So
Yeah,
we'll talk. We're going to talk about like what happened, and then we'll also talk about first we'll talk about 180 traps.
what are they?
What is a 180 trap?
And why are they? Is another odd question.
Fair enough. Well, so first of all, if you're not familiar with USPSA, the 180 rule is essentially there is a stage layout, and you imagine.
We've got a stage layout
Yeah,
here.
we've got a stage layout. You
Should we
imagine.
point that at the camera?
Yeah, sure.
Fine.
Here, we'll just
Yeah.
here's a little stage layout thing. Back here is crowd, no shoot crowd. People, no crowd.
You're literally trusting everybody there not to shoot you too.
Yeah.
because they're waiting in line to do the same thing.
What you have to imagine is that there is just a flat 180-degree line across the stage. You at no point want to cant your gun at any point where instead of pointing here, it angles its way back past the 180. No matter what targets are set out, no matter how the stage layout works, no matter what you feel like you have to complete the stage, at no point, even if you feel like, if I shot at this angle or held my gun and ran this way, you never orient the gun or your shoulders with the gun pointed forward in any way that breaks the 180 and 180. It doesn't matter if it's 181 degrees. The 180 rule does not get broken. It is a serious safety issue.
For some reason, 179 degrees is fine.
Apparently some people think so.
Not this one, surprisingly.
Yeah, not this one. So we'll get into that. But so we've seen what people have done at certain stages is you'll have we saw one not too long ago. I won't say what match, but there was a wall that was kind of like this. And, you had your shooting position was going down the middle, and you had, targets all around here, and there was a target that was right, kind of tucked behind the wall, right there. And you could only see it once you were past the wall, and you had to basically orient your body directly at a 180, just because of the way the wall was set up.
You couldn't go any farther.
You couldn't go any farther. You couldn't shoot from any deep.
If you go any farther, you can't point back. That's breaking the literal 180.
Literally breaking the 180, and there wasn't a way to shoot it from back here. So you had to get up, cant your body completely at the 180, risk almost disqualifying yourself. And now, to be fair, this one was safer because the target was here and there was a berm right there. So
people would be back here.
Yeah, people would be way back here.
It's not better.
But USPSA stages are supposed to be they're supposed to be a bit of a puzzle. It's a puzzle that you have to solve. You determine, at what speed and from what positions and in what order you're going to shoot these targets, how you're going to run the stage. All of that is up to you. Solving the puzzle is up to you. But every now and then, some people and we've found out it's not necessarily the stage designers themselves. Occasionally, it's just a match director or someone setting up a stage is man, what if part of this solving the puzzle was how do you not accidentally cause a huge safety problem for everyone else?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a safety prohibition. It's not supposed to be an obstacle.
Yeah.
That's where the issue when trap calling lies.
Yeah, part of and everyone has seen, most people have seen, you're in the USPSA world, have seen the video, Ben Stoker talked about it, of the ref. There's some interesting rules around appendix carry and how that how that works its way into the 180 rules. And there was an RSO that literally stared at a guy, waited for him to draw from appendix, knowing that the way that his body was canted, even though it wasn't an actual safety problem, when he drew the gun, the 180 for whatever reason, and for USPSA, technically in the rules extends out of the top of your gun is how they see it.
I mean,
Yeah, so
theory of fire?
Yeah, so by drawing from appendix facing flat down range, the gun breaks the 180 rule. So in the RSO, instead of telling him, like, hey, the way you're standing, when you draw this like that, will probably meet a technical violation of that rule and you'll get disqualified, even though it's not a safety problem.
Stop! Unload and show clear. If clear, hammer down, holster. Range is clear. You know what you did, right?
Are you trying to call me on 10-5-1-6 when I'm facing down range? Because it's compound, I have to do both.
Well, you're turned
I'm
sideways
facing down
when you
range,
draw, and you break in the 180 when the trigger comes out of the holster.
Literally on the buzzer. He got the whole,
Yeah.
do you know what you did?
Yeah, he just waited for him to draw and went, disqualified. And like a DQ isn't like, it's not like, you know, like there's penalties in matches. There's procedural violations that dock you points for, let's say, solving the puzzle incorrectly. A trap that like disqualifies you from the match, that's not really something you're supposed to want to work into that puzzle. You're damn sure you don't want to work that into the puzzle if it risks hurting someone.
Yeah,
like the
weird.
oopsie doodles on that is maybe we can't a gun at a crowd.
The one we almost ran into especially.
Yeah, so we'll get into like what prompted this whole video. You know, this doesn't matter. So And I talked to the actual stage designer afterwards. I shot a stage at a match that I filmed. I put it. And you know, afterwards I was looking at the footage and I was like, man, this isn't good. I know I was one of the last people to shoot this match. To shoot the stage. Yeah. Well, everyone was surprisingly fine with it, even though we all were commenting like, huh, man, I can't imagine why they thought this was a good idea. But no one freaked out. Until the monkey with the Desert Eagle was...
I hate saying that everyone's just sort of getting used to 180 traps.
It very well could be. I mean, there were a
to
couple...
put it like that, I don't like that fact, but I think it's starting to fall its way into the game.
It really could be. And it really, like, one, it can be a safety problem, and two, it really drives people away from the sport who are looking at it from the outside in. They're like, well, like...
A first-timer. They're there and they get caught on it on their first one. Their chances of coming back drop by, we'll call it 40%.
Yeah, like a stage designer, not in this case, but a stage designer or a match director will throw something in there to like make you cause a safety problem that gets you thrown out of the match instead of you just like getting a procedural. Like that sucks pretty hard, and that really does not make the sport
harsh.
Yeah, overly harsh. It also doesn't make the sport look super good. But so for the people that, well, I guess not the people that saw it. So I shot this stage. I was watching the footage afterwards and went, man, I don't know what to do with this footage because like that doesn't look good. Maybe, you know what, I'll put it on Reddit. And there's a USPSA forum. Like, well, maybe someone that helps run the matches or someone will see it. They'll be like, yeah, that probably wasn't good. I won't do that again. I didn't intend that, like, a bunch of people would see that. Like, a lot of people would see that. And then so many people would see it that, like, some random, like, social media accounts on Instagram would just, like, take the video without talking to me and put it up with, like, some edits on a couple Instagram accounts.
Lack of context, too.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the monkey pointing a gun at you.
No, with a complete lack of context just made me, like, people who don't even shoot USPSA, this just crops up on random gun channels, like, why is that guy pointing a Desert Eagle at people? The fact that I shot it with a Desert Eagle and was filming it just really added, like, a whole level of, yeah.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, just, man, that really was the, that really was the cherry on top of this whole really weird ice cream sundae. But it caused so much, it caused so much of an issue that, I got called out and I found it on Instagram and was like, hey, that's not what happened. And then the match directors in the state, people all agreed, like, hey, the stage designer really is a POS for doing that.
Turned out no.
Yeah, turned out no. So I actually, the stage designer got kind of drug into it. A bunch of people got kind of drug into it. We don't really know what happened, but I talked to the stage designer afterwards. And I'll actually, before we get into this, the video will appear right now.
Are you ready? Stand by.
So, what was supposed to happen, and I'll put up an image here from the stage designer himself, from his actual stage design, was you were supposed to start here in this box right here, and you had some targets up here to shoot, and here, and there's one over here, and there's this target that was supposed to be right here, and you would start here, and you can pick however you want to run this, but ideally you would have gone somewhere like right here and shot at this target like this. Your grounds would go down range, safe, no big deal. Crowd's back here, no one's at danger. You're not getting anywhere close to the 180. At some point, and apparently this was actually laid out by the stage designer and some people that helped him lay out the stages. He just wasn't there on the day of the match. Totally fine. What ended up happening at some point, and no one really knows exactly how this happened. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the target got blown over by the wind. We really are not sure, but someone...
Target goblins.
Target goblins, man, they're a problem. What had happened was, when we got to the match, and a bunch of people...
everybody.
And when everybody got to the match, instead of that target being here, where totally not a 180 trap, you just go here, you shoot the target downrange, you figure out how to shoot the rest of the targets, where the target ended up was right here. Like, basically touching the starting box.
You could punch him.
You literally could have, from the starting box, reached around and just plugged it in the chest as, right out of the gate. Even you weren't allowed to shoot from here. So, literally the only way to hit this target safely without aiming at the crowd back here was you had to run straight down the 180, and you're shooting, right there. And I mean, this doesn't even really do it justice.
Said even it's bad.
Yeah,
the way it was set up.
I mean, really, the barrier is really more right here. So you're kind of right here, and I mean, you're aiming.
If even, then you got to plant 2 feet, turn, actually shoot, try and hit the target.
You're shooting down the 179 line. Really close. I mean, one of our friends said it the best. He's like, dude, if you'd shot 2 deltas, out here at the side, you would have broken the 180 and almost ripped around into the crowd. Oh, shit! It was super not kosher in terms of where that ended up. By the time that, people who were vaguely in charge and, at least I got to the stage were made aware of this change, everyone had shot it and been scored on it. It kind of was...
He didn't really know until it came up via you.
Yeah, the stage designer didn't know until, after the match, and some retard shooting a Desert Eagle had posted a video to Reddit.
Special Officer Doofy reporting.
And that had gotten ripped off and taken to Instagram, and suddenly people are calling him, being like, "Hey man, you're getting flamed on a bunch of social media accounts. People are trying to find out who you are." One of the social media accounts was like a parts retailer, and they were like, "Hey, I'll give you free parts if we can out these people on the internet." Totally not his fault. Not his fault even kind of. He did this. This was not what he made. This wasn't what he planned. Seriously, not at all.
I was sitting there, in the bleachers before it started, if you will, and down here where it says people here, there's a nice little overhang, and on the bench, there was the diagram for the actual match setup.
That literally shows the target here, not here.
But a bunch of it actually been changed around. So when I saw it, there was enough difference there to where I was like, that's an old one. That's not today's match.
Yeah, clearly someone left this out here.
Yeah.
Because that's not this crazy.
Been, rainy-ish beforehand, so the papers were just,
Yeah. But, totally not
wild.
Totally not what he intended. By the time that it became a thing, it was, so far out of any of their hands. They were just, it was just on the internet.
It's been interesting figuring it out.
It has been interesting figuring it out. We kept talking about it. Being like, hey, dude, the plot thickens.
Vaguely, but still. The fact that it does is what's impressive.
Man, it was oh man, it was on Reddit. Oh no, man, that blew up on Reddit way too much. My phone's blowing up. That's really crazy. Uh-oh, someone ripped it on Instagram. Oh, that's blowing up. Oh man, that's really blowing up. Oh no, that's really blowing up. Oh no, they're offering money and parts to out people involved in the design of this on the internet so everyone can yell at them. Probably.
What kind of parts are we talking
about?
Yeah,
probably. I probably should say something.
I like parts.
But yeah, no, totally not the stage designer's fault. He didn't even kind of do that. Like, didn't even
Technically, kind of. Like, to be fair, they left it in hands of
whatever
happened.
Other than just like not being present and being like, surely no one would do anything that stupid while I'm not staring at it.
Man,
like,
I've met some dumb people in my life.
I mean, well, turns out so.
I haven't met the people that done this that I know of.
That,
man,
it's
that
true.
was impressive. Because
that was really impressive.
I've seen the original diorama, and that was a perfectly good stage.
What was really funny about that too was like before I shot it, which is when like again once the monkey swinging the big cannon like took the stage, like that's when everyone was like, oh, maybe this is a real problem. Like again, we were watching people shoot.
Briefing at the start of the day was held at that stage. When we walked away to shoot stage 1 there, everyone was like, have you seen the stage where you have to like just mug a guy? we was standing there with the two dudes that are in my video going like, oh, and like kind of getting out of the way. We briefly shot the stage.
Yeah, who had already shot the stage. I was standing there with them, and there was a guy shooting open, and he was running real fast. And he turned, hit that target once, and had like trigger freeze, I guess, and he was about to step deeper into the stage, which would have like if he'd shot it again, which would have 180, broken him. And he like mid step, still not 180 break, went, oh right, pap, and then kept moving. And I'm standing there with them. I was like, well, boys, if we go, we all go together. Because we're all standing right there.
This ranges everything in the line. Just that scene from Indiana Jones where he pops 3 with it. Just like,
But no, like totally, like, and then I ran it with the big cannon, and everyone was like, "Oh, maybe we should talk to someone about this because this is really alarming." And then it turned out that I just happened to be the guy with the camera filming things and putting things on the internet, and then I was like, I don't know, like I didn't want to put it in a major video because like the whole point of this channel in a way is to be like, hey, like just go shoot a match. It's a lot of fun. You can just shoot it.
This was not a go shoot a match moment.
Yeah, this was not a go shoot a match moment. It's super fun because it's like, sometimes we wacky hijinks we get up to are real fucking dangerous sometimes, I guess. I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, I don't know. We'll just put this on like a forum I didn't think a lot of people would look at. It's like there, don't do that again. Do better in the future. And to be fair, the people involved in one way or another have been informed of what they did.
The other real question is like with 180 traps though, is there like fixing that for USPSA? Is that a thing?
I mean, people just need to stop. Like when you're designing a stage, again, stage designer, this one not at all at fault. Or if you're just laying out a stage, like
one of the stages, it was a predominantly reverse movement stage, and it was somehow safer.
Yeah,
and it was reverse movement.
Yeah, I know. Like. There's so many ways to lay out a stage where it's still an interesting puzzle to solve without part of the puzzle being like, what if you oopsie doodles DQ'd yourself from the match?
He's got 2 shoulders.
Yeah, or oopsie doodles almost rip around through a crowd or over a berm. Like there's a highway back there. That berm's sloped down like this.
Yeah.
Like, just if you're laying out a stage, like, and I don't mean like. Well, I do mean if you're designing a stage, but if like a stage designer is giving you a stage plan and it doesn't involve something like that, don't add it. That's not a good part of a stage to add in. That shouldn't be part of
change.
Yeah, it's a weird change. That shouldn't be part of a stage at all. Like part of solving the puzzle.
That's literally like a Hitman level thing where you just like move that around. It's like that. He always likes to stand there and smoke a cigarette on stage 4. The man with the barcode on his head just left. Weird.
Yeah. No, like part of solving the USPSA stage puzzle does not need to be either getting DQ'd for no reason other than like a stage designer thought it'd be like, and like I get that like some of the idea definitely at certain points is like, oh yeah, you better be paying a lot of attention to how you design the stage or you might either miss this target or shoot it at an angle you're not supposed to and get thrown out of the match because like, the only way you can shoot it from is almost not safe.
Like, to be clear, you have caught a 180 DQ before.
I did.
What happened? The way it happened? perfectly fair by comparison.
Oh yeah, I was just new, and I thought that like, okay, well, what if I reloaded and temple indexed, and I literally turned while running, like gun pointed in a safe direction, backwards. It was like my first USPSA match, and not back.
Call that by comparison?
Yeah,
that makes
not
sense.
even. Yeah, like that is like okay, hey, like and like what happened? And what happened was I literally ran down the 180, and then I had to run around a wall, and with the gun pointed up in a safe direction, I went, oop, and I went to like 182, and they're like, hey, no, stop, and they explained to me what I did wrong, and I was like, okay, I get it, I understand that, it's perfectly fair. Like that makes sense.
There's the USPA thing for the people that don't know it. Like, if you're running and moving, you got to point the gun down the range and just kind of orient around it, if you will. And
but like part of
it's weird at first, but it's doable. It's very doable.
Yeah, it's weird at first, but it's doable. But also, like, part of the sort of the beauty of USPSA, since like how you run the stage is so up to you. If you want to say, like, no, I don't want to incorporate that into how I move with a gun, you can totally just run the stage, like, a different way where maybe it's not as time efficient, but, like, you don't have to work, you don't have to do
largely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple ways where you probably can't.
But for the most part, like, you can totally...
It isn't taking it at your own speed.
Yeah, it is taking it at your own speed kind of thing. Again, it's your own puzzle to solve. Like, guys, don't make part of the puzzle, like, just...
My arm.
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of people's like shoulders and faces.
Just bodily injury.
It almost put 2 Korean kids on a T-shirt.
I will remember you.
Like that's not part of the match. We don't need to add that in. Anyway, so that was that. We're gonna be doing a lot more fun stuff coming up. We got So I think the plan going forward, this is like only the second long-term video I've done. I know people have really been enjoying, running the Desert Eagle. I'm going to run it at, I think, two more matches coming up pretty soon. I'll certainly run it more after that, but those are going to be the 2 primary things before, at least for USPSA purposes, I'm going to try and move on to this, which is pretty dang nifty. You picked up... hello, Snapcap. Picked up a USP-40, and not just a USP-40. One of the 1993, like, as far as I could tell, like, maybe original shipments. I don't know how big their batching was with the first USPs.
My guess with H&K in general is almost always in, like, 500s.
Yeah, I'm guessing. So, like, third shipment, second shipment. All I know is that it was probably shipped before the USP 9mm existed, as far as I could tell. Like, this is the 1,000, and according to the serial number, is the 1,002nd USP ever made. Other than, I guess, ostensibly the Mark 23s, which are USPSA, like, plus.
We'll have a whole video about those later.
Yeah, that'll be a whole other thing. But
we're gonna do a little more digging.
Yeah, but got one of the got the 1,002nd USP ever made through a match we had on it. Not a comp, interestingly enough. I did not know anything about these until I physically looked into them to get one.
Seen Tomb Raider.
If you've ever seen Tomb Raider, like I didn't know anything about how those worked. Got a jet funnel, and they're going to run this in USPSA Limited, I think. It seems to fit right in there.
Unless they say it has to be open, in which case, okay.
Okay, sure. It's like, again, like none of this is like, man, I'm going to like take some of these crazy guns and I'm going to win stuff. But it'd be really cool to see like an original USP-40. Like you just don't see H&K guns run in competition almost at all. They're just largely not designed for it.
Kind of for a reason, but still.
Yeah, well, they're just like, man, they are duty guns first, and there's not a lot of aftermarket accessories that really cater to competition shooting. They're just not. That's not what they're for most of the time. But again, like the Desert Eagle, it's really cool to be like, all right, if you were like one of these guys who got one, and you were like, not only am this is gonna be my duty gun or whatever, like I'm gonna learn to run this gun. I'm gonna run it like that. We're gonna find out like how fast you go. We'll figure it out.
Only one way to find out.
The only one way to find out. I'm going to shoot it a bunch. I'm going to take it to a bunch of matches. And then we're also going to go to a bunch of, we'll go to a bunch of other stuff. Do some PCSL, do some 2-gun, do some 3-gun, shoot all kinds of...
Fun gunning,
shoot all kinds of wacky and interesting guns, and some really, really cool stuff that people think is really, really interesting. It's going to be a fun time. So, stay tuned.
Please.
Yeah. Also, if you're done designing stages, again, no 180 traps, guys. Just leave that out. It's not helpful. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't like it. We don't need it. Don't do that to people. It doesn't really help the sport. just
It's not safe.
yeah, it's not safe. It's certainly not safe. Just cool it with that.
I'll just lead off with that.
Yeah,
You can be uncool, just don't be unsafe.
Yeah, don't make our precious Asian baby boys dive out of the way, in the middle of matches. It's not good. It's not good for their heart. It's not good for mine. All right, deuces. Yeah.